In terms of looking at what end users are actually starting with from a cloud, we've obviously spoken about an internal cloud. From an external sort of service provider, what do you see the demand from the end users becoming?
See, I think what we're seeing is, and like SignW perhaps, a lot of multinationals out there have moved from server consolidation. You start doing virtualization and stuff like that. Then you do data center consolidation. So that bit is real, and we're seeing that for sure. Mm-hmm. And it's coming out from organizations largely from the West. Again, we talked about our network and our infrastructure not being ready, and that's a given. It's a fact. But it's coming there, that's for sure. If there's one thing that's coming down in price, we all know, is the cost of communication. So without a doubt, that's coming down. The structure of that is coming down. So what we're seeing is mature companies today have very quickly realized that they are moving towards some form of consolidation. The end game is to create more efficiency. I think things like green and other things are added factors that are probably going to push this whole thing forward. You're quite right. I've come from the mainframe era as well. So I'm seeing an evolution that's come from something that started off in a nice, small, controlled manner, open up, and then all of a sudden we have Wintel servers, Blade servers, lots of them, but still we've not given up our mainframes, have we? The I-series and the AS400s are still close to our hearts. So you still have that, and still have all these Windows machines. So now the evolution is going to come about, because I think what essentially people need to realize is there are two kinds of customers today. There's the Y-Gen boys, which are very internet savvy and are playing in that space. Mm-hmm. There's a whole bunch of Wintel applications that can accommodate new products, new services, new businesses. There is the traditional businesses that haven't changed. Banking systems, some banks today, and you probably know some of these banks, they're running 25, 30-year-old applications.
Oh, indeed, that's right.
You think about them. They haven't moved yet. The applications fit what they need. They've worked around it. And perhaps as they evolve, so we're going to see a structured evolution. And I think we're also going to see a structured revolution depending on whether you're talking about the public or the private cloud. So it's a huge, exciting space. I tell my guys in the organization that, we're lucky to be born in this age or this era, because I think we're really seeing an evolution and a revolution at almost the same time. It's going to be a little different. I think managing and understanding that the customer's needs are a little different across the board and not attempting to fit one across everybody, I think that's the game.
And in terms of defining the cloud as a very commoditized set of capability, do you think that will restrict our adoption, or do you believe that it will actually help us adopt it at a greater pace?
Commoditizing IT services is the way to go. That is the only way to cut the cost down or be more cost efficient. The challenge is how much can we standardize? In the large enterprise environment, it's quite a challenge, in fact, to standardize the applications, because different end users' environment would require different kind of applications, and we have been trying to standardize as much as possible by adopting a group-wide standard ERP platform, business performance management platform, information workplace, technologies and all that. But we always, face challenges in terms of end users' environment asking for something different. It can be applications, less so on the infrastructure, because IT still manage the infrastructure, be it the server, the network, and the desktop environment and all that. So without standardization, it will be very hard to do commoditization of the IT services.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one additional point I'd like to get the feedback from the group here is that I see a lot of a lot of IT directors and CIO being challenged by the cloud, so much to the point that their CEO or the various business unit they serve say, look, why can't you provide this in 2 months? Mm-hmm. Why does it cost so much? Mm-hmm. And therefore forcing them to rethink about, as you said, Kachai, maybe internally there is more standardization, more commoditization that needs to be built, more standards, so you can achieve some of the benefits. So I see a lot of companies like CIOs being forced down the way of, improving the internal IT, because out there, otherwise, they're going to be seriously challenged by their own organization in terms of why don't you provide IT services at that price point? Why don't you provide an IT services that is highly scalable, fastly provisioned? So we're going to see, I think, my perspective, we're going to see a lot of internal programs about building kind of internal cloud and becoming, as good as what people can provide out there. So otherwise, they're going to lose their job, or they're going to lose their business because, or at least their IT internal business, because, the business is going to find a cheaper, faster way to do what they do.
Another area which seems to be driving a lot of debate, and I'd like to get the panel's thoughts around this. Let's go forward for 3 years, 4 years, and organizations starting to really drive both an internal cloud and an external cloud strategy. And at some point, they may have 3 or 4 different cloud providers, let's say, all offering part of a solution, be it a logistics solution, be it sort of, warehousing, whatever the business functionality. The concern that I get raised in such events is, okay, so I understand that it may be good for me to move to an external cloud provider, either providing me some infrastructure or maybe the application or even further up the stack to the business process. Who takes responsibility to integrate all those external clouds and provide back to me the assurance that this is going to be an end-to-end capability that I can rely on? I'd be interested to get perspective on whether we're seeing that in the marketplace today.
I think the challenge that lies ahead is basically in how IT or SI, service and system integrator, and the service provider can stitch all these things together.
Mm-hmm.
And different public clouds, like for example CRM or even procurement or the ERP-based processes and HR and finance and all that, require some customization to an end user environment.
Yeah.
Because like it or not, today our ERP environment is also not a standard, form that fits all. Right? Every organization runs differently. The financial processes, the procurement processes, some are more common, some are specific to the business unit. I don't believe a public cloud in the future can cater for hundreds of organizations, everywhere across the world, that subscribe to the same cloud.
Mm-hmm.
So there will be some sort of services required by the SI or the IT department to basically integrate all these clouds together, to make it work for them.
And I guess that's one of the key debates that we're being challenged by, let's say, in the industry is who will be that integrator? Will it be the internal IT organization? Or will it be a new business opportunity and requirement, let's say, of the industry to actually have a third party that is able to stitch the clouds together in an absolute form to provide that end-to-end service and take the risk? And I think it's what we were hearing last week whilst we were doing a similar set of roundtables was this whole notion of commercial risk. Who's taken the risk of that end-to-end service delivery? Is it still on your shoulders as a CIO?
I think there's only one aspect. We are talking about applications. There's infrastructure, there's platform,
Mm-hmm.
there's also BPO. If you look across the whole spectrum of external cloud and trying to stitch all these things together is a different element altogether. For example, you can actually subscribe to some infrastructure services, buy some Intel, server capacity from Amazon, for example, and get some platform vendor to provide you the development platform, right? And some application provider, service provider to provide you with some ERP, modules or all that. And integrating this whole lot from the server capacity to network to applications and to the development platform is a huge task. Even internally, when we are developing or deploying applications, we ended up, having to, spend a lot of effort troubleshooting where the problem is actually, actually from.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's server, whether it's network, or whether it's application, or whether it's desktop. So the root cause of the issue or the errors require a lot of time to troubleshoot.
The biggest challenges I see CIOs having would be putting stuff together in a roadmap form and understanding where the business is going. And this is the biggest challenge, right? Because it's a support function. That's my view on how the CIOs are evolving.
Mm-hmm.
Right?